Officer Liu, I know it's all thanks to you. Only then did I have future possibilities. I am truly very grateful to you. But you can't deceive me either. Although I know it is impossible to turn into blue gold after death. But this is just the wish of Xiaoan and me in our hearts. What you just said. The tool a person uses to commit a crime is looking at Huang Yan's forced smile of appeasement. And that kind of yearning to reclaim the gaze I just painted. Su Ming sighed helplessly, gently tapping on the table. Staring intently at Huang Yan, he replied, I mean it literally. Zhang Wan's experience was tragic. It dealt a huge blow to his spirit. But it's highly likely. It's not yet to the point of suicide. But this so-called blue gold game led to her suicidal feelings. In just 15 days, reached the peak, until falling to death. At this point, Su Ming picked up a blood test report from the table, slowly walked up to Huang Yan, placed the blood report on the desk. Continue the story. This report is Zhang Wan's blood test report. The technicians of our team detected from inside residuals of various drugs and painkillers. And I don't think so. A junior high school girl who doesn't fit into society. There are places to get these contraband items. So, Zhang Wan did not commit suicide by falling from the building, but rather they were lured to fall from the building. That being said, do you understand? This moment, Huang Yan was instantly stunned, looking down at the inspection report on the table. The eyeballs trembled incessantly. Even my hands tremble with anger, trembling of its own accord. Look up and see. Opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But it was something I could never say out loud. This news. For present-day Huangyan, it's like a bolt from the blue. A few seconds later, Huang Yan forced a smile, in a pleading tone, looking at Su Mingdao. But, Officer Su, that's not right. The blue mirror game has never made us commit suicide. Even last night, it was all suggested by Xiaoan herself. Could this be a bit of a problem? How could Xiaoan have been murdered? For Huangyan, he can accept that Zhang Wan committed suicide to escape this garbage world. Yearning for inner freedom, I leave. But he cannot accept it. I truly cannot accept this at all. Zhang Wan was actually harmed by someone. Even the dreams of inner freedom. They are all fabricated by the murderer. It's just a means of committing crime. Su Ming put away the inspection report on the table, with both hands pressed on the interrogation chair, looking down at Huangyan from above. The gaze was incredibly powerful and resolute. She looked straight at him and said firmly, there is no need to directly ask you to commit suicide. Or say, if you would directly make such a request, the so-called blue mirror game. Instead, it is a low-level crime method. Future cases will be much easier. Actually, I want you to give up. I hope to commit suicide. Just keep suggesting it to yourself in your mind. The blue mirror is the freest creature in this world, the most perfect being, and death can turn into a blue mirror. At the same time, then guide with drugs and medication. When you finish the so-called game, always able to maintain a joyful state, and the self-harming pain suppressed by medication. By the way, Yuangyan, can you roll up your sleeves now? Open it for me to take a look. There was not the slightest hesitation, although my hands are inconveniently propped up. But Huang Yan bit his sleeve and pulled it up. Clearly, there is an urgent desire for results. Knowing your best friend, is it truly a happy suicide? It is pure despair guided by others. Huang Yan struggled to pull up a sleeve. Su Ming then saw on his arm. The self-harm wounds have not yet appeared at the 8th level. He casually tapped the interrogation table with a raised eyebrow. "All right. No need to pull any more. If I'm not mistaken, the so-called blue mirror game. Have you ever said something like this? When you are self-harming your body, not only will it not hurt, instead there is a sense of excitement, freedom, a dreamy feeling. Because every self-harm incident to the body, you are all getting closer to the blue mirror. You can feel the dreamlike freedom of sailing in the ocean. It's obvious." Other police officers looked on. "Perhaps it will be a completely novel form of consciousness control crime." But the experienced Su Ming didn't feel much strangeness. Instead, it feels very familiar. They even guessed the general control methods. How was the conversation? Hearing Su Ming's words, the lie was exposed, was plunged into shock. With a complex gaze, they stared at Su Ming, opened his mouth several times, finally spoke up. "Su, Officer Su, you, how would you know? We have never been with anyone else. I mentioned the blue mirror game. Is it really just as you said?" Xiao Wan. Tip. The lie was not fully spoken, but Su Ming already understood the meaning behind it. With a determined gaze, staring directly at the lie, she first revealed a gentle smile, but said, "Now, you should understand now. We are the ones standing on the united front. So next, I need your full cooperation. We must find the real murderer who killed Zhang Wan." Su Ming deliberately leaked the information regarding the current lies. It was undoubtedly an unimaginable thunderbolt on a clear day. She never thought. It turns out my best friend, Zhang Wan, encountered so much tragedy and abandonment in life. Even the true reason for leaving this world. None of this is about completely escaping this damn world, the freedom that one strongly desires, but rather being lured and deceived. In just 15 days, just lost his young life. Lies cannot be suppressed in imagination. If it weren't for this so-called blue gold game, Jiang Wan would never take that extreme step. Perhaps due to various tragic experiences, sadness submerged for a while. But in the end, I will still wipe away my tears, bravely face this world. In that case, they can still chat. We can still chase our idols together. We can still eat snacks together on the rooftop of the abandoned building. But now everything has changed. Jiang Wan can never become Lan Jin, because this is simply a deceptive brainwashing. Quietly and eerily moved, her body is still stored there. Thinking of this, originally filled with shocking lies, a spark suddenly ignited in his eyes, an unspoken anger and determination, shining even more, tears of sympathy for my dear friend. He randomly glanced at Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng in front of him, unexpectedly began to tell, regarding the blue gold game. This so-called blue gold game, it's not just me and Xiao Wan. Things created by oneself. About a month ago, suddenly sent to my email for no reason. Game invitation. I still remember it was written like this. If you are dissatisfied with your current life, complaining about the injustice that happens to oneself, then come join this blue and gold game. It allows you to embrace a new life without any pain, to become someone who can roam the deep sea, free and unrestrained blue gold. Then there is an additional video. I can't remember the details clearly, but probably it is. A victim of school violence, foreign middle school female student, chose to participate in the blue gold game. After completing numerous prelude games, choosing to face the moon beneath the tall buildings. There are still many scars left from self-harm on the arm. Then we were shown the result of the fall. The scene shifted to the deep sea. A blue golden fish is swimming on top of that enormous blue and goldfish fin. Unexpectedly encountered that foreign middle school girl. The wounds had similar shapes. This is the first time I witness the process of the blue gold game. It is also the special invitation sent by it. All along, we all communicate via email. By the way, I didn't delete any of those emails. Please let me log in. We should still be able to see. Upon hearing this, Su Ming immediately became curious about those emails. He immediately opened the laptop he brought without hesitation. Double-click the Penguin chat software. Undoubtedly. Please share your email account and password. Let me log in. Did not let Huang Yan log in by himself. This is to prevent. Huang Yan made something similar to take the opportunity to delete the emails. Although we are currently on the same side, but as a detective, one must remain vigilant. It must not be lacking even half a bit. After 30 seconds, Su Ming has already read out the account password through Huang Yan, successfully logged into the email. Directly open the inbox. Select the time to 1 month ago. A letter titled light blue. It also came with a blue and gold patterned envelope. Appeared in front of Su Ming. Place the notebook in front of yourself and Zhu Changshen. Open this so-called game invitation letter. The specific content inside. It's not much different from what Huang Yan said. All of it is about escaping pain. Stay away from suffering. Gaining a new life. Forever free and so on. It is necessary to utilize characteristics of immature mental development in minors. Use this kind of language to entice and control. After reading the text, Su Ming opened the video attached to the email. A blonde foreign middle school girl, drenched in cola by someone. The scene stuck in the bathroom. In the video, after experiencing campus violence, there is simply no way to resist. A girl who appears particularly powerless. I unexpectedly received an envelope. The words blue gold game are written above. Then follow the instructions in the subsequent envelope. Engaging in self-harm, taking medication, staying up late, and similar behaviors. Ultimately, he jumped off the building facing up. The posture is similar to Zhang Wan's posture. Almost identical. No death scene was provided. The camera shifted to a certain blue goldfish in the ocean. The scars larger than itself. After watching this video, Zhu Changshen couldn't help but frown. Gently tapping the table, she frowned. Too fake. It's full of flaws. This video. I guess it can only fool high school students. Let's not talk about the content for now. Just ask a question. Who can capture those videos? Who can capture so much campus violence just right? And the video about communicating through envelopes. However, although it seems full of flaws to us, but in the eyes of those rebellious middle school students, it must be an irresistible temptation. However, I will contact you by email. That means the suspect is very large, perhaps in the country. I don't dare to use real-time communication software directly, because although email communication is very discreet, not easy to expose, and difficult to trace, but what if the suspect is overseas? We have no law enforcement authority at all. He didn't need to go through the trouble of using email. This is good news for us. There was an opportunity to catch him domestically. Su Ming nodded in agreement. Quickly scroll through email subjects using the mouse wheel. I hope to get a general understanding from this. The mind control techniques used by the suspect. But I've only just skimmed through it. Su Ming discovered an extremely important detail. That is, Huang Yan's communication emails with the criminal suspect. All dates are within the last 15 days. since receiving this email, in the more than 10 days that the two began to communicate. There was absolutely no communication at all. Why is this? Have you deleted the communication email? Not right. Huang Yan didn't need to delete the email at all, because his parents did not care enough. Previously, Huang Yan did indeed plan to commit suicide. He even specially bought the Baikao cave. It's not just about whether you'll regret it. It also depends on the parents. Will you regret it? Finally, the look of Baikao cave is fake. The misunderstandings with my parents have also been resolved. So these blank 15 days. Isn't it true that Huang Yan has no contact with the criminal suspect? Recall, according to Liu Yan, the former homeroom teacher of Huang Yan and Zhang Wan. A month ago, Huang Yan once asked her on a special platform, can a person become something that others remember after death? If it is possible, she wanted to become a carefree blue gold and roam freely, no longer endure the pain of a limp. The reason for asking Liu Yan. It is very likely due to the fact that besides the parents, Liu Yan is. Huang Yan is one of the few. The adult can feel warmth from their body now. Now think carefully. Limping is not actually Huang Yan's greatest pain. Instead, it was the indifference of the parents. Was the main factor in his plan to commit suicide. Because when I previously checked her phone's photo album, I discovered that even when limping, Huang Yan once went to faint alone. Ferris wheel of the joyful world. 15-year-old girl, deliberately competing with my parents. He didn't want them to know his inner thoughts. The so-called limping suicide. It's just Huang Yan's way of masking his own thoughts. For this reason, this blue gold, freedom in the game, easygoing. In fact, it is impossible to make Huang Yan feel much impact. So it's only been 15 days without a response from the suspect. At the same time, why after 15 days? Suddenly, we started contacting each other via email. This indicates there are definitely factors from others involved, and this person is most likely Zhang Wan. In the past 15 days, Zhang Wanbing mentioned Lan Jin, and it became a state of poor sleep. Huang Yan has also been in the past 15 days. Kai had some connections with the suspect behind the scenes. All of these inferences point to one possibility. Zhang Wan also received an invitation to the blue gold game. At the same time, this is not Huang Yan informing him about the blue gold game. It was Zhang Wan who informed Huang Yan, and also brought Huang Yan along. The most crucial point is, can I accurately send an email to Zhang Wan and Huang Yan, these two close friends? This basically rules out the possibility of random killings. More boldly speculate. The hidden mastermind is likely right beside us. The date through the email. And previously accumulated numerous suspicious clues. Su Ming immediately narrowed down the range of suspects. Zoom in on the two victims. At least understand the situation of Zhang Wan and Huang Yan. Otherwise, if it's a case of random murder, it's still possible to send games to both people so accurately. Possibility of an invitation email, it's almost impossible. Only acquaintances. Only then did we have the opportunity to solve this case. But for now, it's still just a guess. It must be further verified. Thinking of this, Su Ming immediately looked at Huang Yan across from him. Po Weiren asked seriously, Huang Yan, I have something to ask you. Where did Zhang Wan receive the invitation for the blue gold game? Is it? You tell her about this matter. Or are there other ways? This question. Zhu Changsheng, who was sitting beside. Puzzled, I picked up a piece of news. Because in the previous review and inference, Huangyan learned about the blue gold game a month ago. Jiang Wan has been in recent contact for about 15 days. It has just begun to repeatedly mention the term Lan Jin. So, both of them tacitly accepted this blue gold game. It was actually Huang Yan who informed Jiang Wan. But now, Su Ming seems to have made another discovery. Huang Yan is currently desperate to catch the mastermind behind it all. Upon hearing Su Ming's question, suddenly stunned, he quickly shook his head. No, it wasn't me who told Zio Wan about this game. At first, after I received the game invitation, I just took a quick look. I have no intention of participating in this game, because I know clearly what I want is not freedom. It's certainly not what one would call a new beginning. As for Zio Wan learned about this game from where, I'm not exactly sure. I only remember Zio Wan called me one day, very excited. She said she discovered a really fun game, able to free her from her current painful situation. Freedom emerges in my mind, and a light, airy sense of comfort. After testing it once, he specifically called me. I hope I can join this game too. Upon hearing this, I said, Zhu Chengsheng gasped in shock, glancing back at Su Ming. Then he quickly turned to Huang Yan and asked, So, this blue gold game did not start with you and Jiang Wan. However, Jiang Wan was the first to follow the instructions. After playing one of the games in advance, I really feel it has an effect. I will bring you along. Is that so? Huang Yan did not respond. Instead, they nodded vigorously to show affirmation. This moment, Zhu Chengshen forcefully performed a lower jaw trick. Turning to Su Ming, they sighed. Xiao Ming, what kind of brain do you have? How did you figure out the clues? Originally, we all inferred. Yuanyan received the invitation. Begin the blue and gold game with Zhang Wan. As a result, it hasn't been long. You have obtained the clue. This judgment can be directly overturned. But speaking of which, your discovery. It saves us a lot of detours. Previously, I asked Vice Principal Zhang of Shude Middle School. Confirmed that there are no one else except Huang Yan and Jiang Wan. Others have not received an invitation to the blue gold game. Such precise email delivery, and can determine Huang Yan and Jiang Wan may be affected by this game. It is most likely that someone familiar from the surroundings committed the crime. Random crimes have been ruled out, and the possibility of not being able to catch the criminal, this will definitely increase quite a bit. As for Jiang Wan's so-called lightness, and to escape the feeling of pain, basically confirmed. This is due to the use of drugs and opioids. Su Ming nodded in agreement, based on the test results from Jiang Wan's blood, mainly composed of high-purity heroin, ice drug, K powder, and these three types of drugs. The effects of these three types of drugs are different. Heroin can separate consciousness from the body, causing a disintegration of personality, harm the nerves. That's why Jiang Wan has the awareness of becoming blue gold. Methamphetamine can excite people. The spirit is in a state of joy. Therefore, Jiang Wan said she had forgotten the pain she experienced. As for K powder, it can damage memory and cognitive abilities. More likely to develop schizophrenia. This allows the mastermind to better control Jiang Wan. Can you say? To carry out this act of consciousness crime, the hidden hand is indeed well prepared. At least let's talk about gathering these three types of high-purity drugs. It is an extremely difficult task. However, although it is certain that the killer is nearby, but there are still too few useful clues. With just these fragmented clues, there is no way to identify the suspect. We must obtain more clues to proceed. Su Ming temporarily closed the laptop. Prepare to wait until the interrogation is over. Slowly browse through the specific email content. He raised his head and gestured towards Huang Yin. Go on. What happened next? Huang Yin nodded obediently, continuing to tell the story. Although I wasn't originally interested in this blue gold game. But Zaya Wan said it is very useful. So I decided to join this game because of curiosity about whether it really has such a magical effect. After I replied to the invitation email over 10 days ago, how long has it been? The Blue Gold game has released its first game content. I still remember the general content inside. Let me go to a place in an old alley. Find someone to receive 30 dream candies. It is said that before starting tasks every day, everyone wants to eat a beautiful dream candy. This is how one can attain true freedom and happiness. Originally, that kind of old street and alley. I'm a bit scared and don't dare to go. But Zaya Wan said she had already been there. There is no danger at all. Moreover, the candy is very sweet and delicious. As the truth states, you can have sweet dreams. So, I went to that old street alley. Su Ming lightly tapped on the table. Interrupting Huang Yan, I asked, old streets and alleys. Do you remember what that alley was called? What features does that person have? Is there something that left a deep impression on you? Huang Yan furrowed his brow, trying hard to remember. He shook his head helplessly and replied, I don't remember. Since that day began, I feel like my memory has gotten worse. Many things happened that day. Everything is a bit unclear now. This answer, it didn't come as a surprise to Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. It's just a bit of a pity, because from that day on, Huang Yan started using drugs. Although the efficiency of oral absorption is not as good as that of vapor inhalation, injection and skylight opening, but it can't withstand the high purity. Enough to make Huang Yin fall into the side effects of drugs as well. It's normal for memory to become natural over time. At this moment, Huang Yin is currently experiencing memories. It seems like something has been recalled. Suddenly looked up and said, by the way, I suddenly remembered something that left a deep impression on me that day, just as I got it from that person. After receiving 30 candies, there was a very thin and dark-skinned middle-aged man. Rolling and crawling, I hugged that person's calf. It seems like they are still shouting, dog brother, first give me a bite. Give me a bite first. They will definitely pay later. They will definitely pay later. This moment, Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng were both momentarily taken aback. His gaze immediately became sharp and piercing. Dodgy. Is it a skinny dog? Huang Yan suddenly mentioned the nickname dog brother. Added on, in his impression, clearly showing signs of being a drug addict, praying to the so-called dog brother for a bite. Immediately, Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng's expressions became serious. I immediately thought of the thin dog we caught a few days ago, because Huang Yin went to this place to obtain the special poison provided by the murderer. That's very obvious. This so-called bite. It's definitely not about just getting a meal, but instead give him a hit of drugs, known by the nickname dog brother, and can be begged like this by an addict that likely exists in the drug underworld, has quite a reputation. All the clues pointed to. A few days ago, in the case of unexpectedly discovering 3 class of fugitives, the captured thin dog. After all, skinny dog feeling and unfamiliar people engaging in such a massive drug trade. In the case of catching it, one might receive a peanut. In the entire realm of the magic poison dog circle, A skinny dog can definitely be considered a big catch. At the very least, he is a prominent drug lord, not only courageous. The key cargo volume is still high. Thinking of this, Zondervan did not hesitate at all. Log into the police internal platform immediately using the notebook. Pull up the profile file of the thin dog. Switch to screen. Huang Yan appeared before me. Asked, "Take a closer look. The person on the screen. Is it the person who gave you 30 candies as drugs? That is to say, the dog brother whom others continuously pray to." "Correct. Is him." Huang is just a glance. Bayan immediately nodded without hesitation and replied. My impression was still a bit vague, but after seeing this photo, it immediately corresponded with the images in my mind. Because at that time, this Dodgy, not only did she ignore the man's pleas, he even kicked him away with a strong kick. As for what happened later, I'm not very clear about it. At that time, I had already run away in fear. Get this affirmative answer. Zongming turned to look at Zhu Qingshan. With a slight frown, he spoke softly. "Shenji, it seems we can confirm. It's just a skinny dog. Infer based on the timeline of the case. 15 days ago, Huang Yan went to find Shu Gu to get the mixed drugs. Indeed, the thin dog is in an active state, still not captured by us. There is no conflict in time. However, the thin dog is definitely not the mastermind behind the murders. Let's not talk about whether he has that kind of mindset, and unable to issue commands by a mail from the detention center. This drug of such purity, it's not something a skinny dog can get. Because, in reviewing the forensic blood test results, the drugs in Zhang Wan's body, it is a variety of highly pure drugs, resulting from the mixture. For an ordinary addict, got the heroin, ice drug, K powder, these three mainstream drugs. Actually, it's not difficult. But the key difficulty lies in if the purity of these three types of drugs can all reach over 95%. Such high purity. There is basically only one drug dealer, or perhaps only second-hand drug dealers have it, even if it's a thin dog. I estimate the purity of the drugs obtained. The highest is about 70%. Will be added by its online supervisor. Similar impurities to rock candy, used to gain better profits. As the thin dog was being sold, it is likely to contain impurities as well. Dilute the purity to 50% to gain more profits, just like a few days ago, when you can't catch it. I looked at the technical department's inspection report. The purity of that headless heroin, it's just for 50%. Of course, diluting drugs is something like this, common among drug dealers, even distributed to the lowest tier, about 10 grams of drugs. Among them, 8 grams is white sugar, MSG, impurities light table salt. This is not for the so-called sentence reduction. It's just to earn a bit more profit. But now the purity of the drugs has reached 95%, used in the so-called blue gold game. And Shen Ling and Huang Yan each receive 30 grams, seemingly not concerned about its high price. It doesn't feel difficult to achieve purity, such a potent drug, adding the ability to command beasts and dogs. And let him honestly hand over the items, give it to Huang Yan and Zhang Wan. This all points to it. The mastermind could very well be the upper echelons of the beast dogs. He is also the biggest drug lord of our organization. Regarding Su Ming's inference, Zhu Qingshan nodded in agreement. The fingers tapped on the table in response. It's indeed very likely. The beast dog line cannot be released. We must dig deep into it this time. gained important clues, but I really didn't expect it. Even if it's very vague, he didn't say a word about what happened above him. They have been sent to the detention center these past few days. I will send someone right away. Bring the beast dog back to the team. At this point, Zhu Chengcheng was also a bit anxious. I want to dig deeper into the beast dog storyline quickly. He then looked at Huang Yan and gestured. What you just mentioned is very important. We have obtained a crucial clue. It is highly likely to rely on this clue. Uncover the mastermind behind the assassination of Zhang Wan. Now you can continue speaking. What happened afterwards? Hearing the clues you provided is very important. It is highly likely to find the mastermind behind the crime. Huang Yanming clearly feels much happier. Nodding vigorously, he continued. After getting those 30 candies, the blue gold game has begun. Every day at noon, 12 o'clock. The latest emails will arrive on time. It records the game content of that day. And every time, they would ask about the last game. Did you finish on time? I remember clearly. The day after getting the candy. The content of this game. Let me have a piece of candy at 8 p.m. tonight. Then, when it was exactly 9 o'clock, need to find a wall closely against the account. Imagine the freedom you desire in your mind, and the scene of blue gold frying oil. The third day and the fourth day, the game content on the fourth day is mostly the same. It didn't make us self-harm. Just standing for 2 hours. Can't sleep all night, etc. Hearing about these special game features. Su Ming nodded in agreement. Raised an eyebrow even more. Can be determined. The murderer is not a novice aware of their crime. At least I've had several experiences. Because, at first, those who ate the drug-laced candy stand for 2 hours. Stay up all night waiting for the task. Actually, it's all about obedience training. And let the two become familiar with the drugs. The changes brought about. Trying to subtly influence. Let Huang Yan and Zhang Wan both completely stop receiving according to his demands, and begins to embrace the pleasure and madness brought by drugs. When Su Ming carefully thought and analyzed, Huang Yan's words did not stop there. Continue telling the story. But from the 5th day on, the game content has changed to let's draw scars on our arms as the price of freedom, and we will gain similar to the freedom and happiness of blue gold. It feels as if the entire spirit is drifting in the deep sea. But with each passing day, I felt increasingly mentally exhausted. It seems like in my mind, it feels strangely like a brand new consciousness is emerging. But because it became what is known as blue gold, I'm really not that interested. So from then on, I took a candy on time. Feel that special joy. But basically, none of us can do the games he arranged. As a result, he discovered it yesterday. That new, even though I also received game content. But it also added a segment for me, with threatening insults and scolding. Upon hearing this, Su Ming raised an eyebrow in curiosity, delved deeper into the inquiry. Insults and scolding. Is it acceptable to insult you like this in an email? Use another method instead. What words are used to insult you? Huang Yan fell silent for 2 seconds, then bit her lip. Finally, without hesitation, continued. He wrote it in the email. Give you the chance for freedom. Yet do not understand how to grasp and abide by. You deserve to be looked down upon for a lifetime. Clearly written yet uncooperative. The Jurassic in the psychiatric hospital. Everyone understands the rules of the game better than I do. It also said that if I continue to not follow the rules, will no longer release game content for me. Let me completely lose the chance to gain freedom and happiness. From this sentence, experienced Zhu Changsheng immediately caught a glimpse of strange and possible clues, hastily inquired, "Wait a moment. Humanyan, do you mean? Did he directly write that you have a limp?" "Already said it. You are even worse than the patients in the mental hospital." Email. Is this email still around? This sentence. This caused Zhu Changsheng to react so intensely. It is actually completely normal, because the last thing Huangyan said, "The amount of information is just too much." I can directly mention Huangyan's limp. It undoubtedly indicates the criminal mastermind behind the scenes. I definitely know the general situation of Huangyan. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to say it so precisely. The matter of being lame, and better than the Jurassic in the mental hospital. It seems that the clues pointed in one direction. That is, Jiang Wen and Huang Yan, not the only victim of the game. There might still be a patient in a mental hospital being controlled by this blue-gold game. Su Ming, sitting beside, immediately opened the notebook, logged into Huangyan's email again, opened the most recent email. After glancing a couple of times, turned the computer screen to Zhu Changsheng. A tour guide pointed the way. "That's right. Shenti, there is indeed an email that exists. It seems that the mastermind behind it all, upon learning that Huangyan has been continuous for several days, after failing to complete the game task, clearly they are a bit desperate. I don't know who is afraid of failing at the last moment. I'm still worried that this matter will be exposed. I took a look at the email as well." Zhu Changsheng nodded in satisfaction. "Analyzed with considerable certainty. Given the current progress, can be nearly 100%. The possibility of the surrounding people being involved in the crime has been confirmed. At the same time, the mental hospital that ordinary people overlook. Similar cases are likely to occur. Clues are coming together step by step. It seems the truth is about to be revealed." He then looked at Huang Yan quite seriously, made a sound to signal. "Huang Yan, is there any other content and details? As long as you think there is a problem, places worth noting, you can say anything." This sentence. Yang Huangyan furrowed his brow tightly. After thinking seriously and recalling for a few seconds, he shook his head and endured the pain. "It's gone. Because he scolded me yesterday. I went to the rooftop of the abandoned classroom building in the evening, witnessing Zhao Wan's freedom within. Looking back now, I should have seen the problem earlier. If it truly helps someone gain freedom, why did he have to specifically email me to scold me? Isn't it supposed to be? It doesn't matter to me at all. Have you completed the game? But now all the regrets and realizations, there is still reluctance. It's already too late." Watching Huang Yan's emotions suddenly plummet, Su Ming closed the laptop, sighed, spoke up to offer comfort. "Don't blame yourself too much. Under the corruption of drugs on thoughts and spirit, you can act without fully adhering to the suspect's demands. It is already a very difficult thing. In the end, Jiang Wan is facing a life change." Gave the suspect an opportunity. Speaking of which, Su Ming looked at Zhu Changsheng beside him. After seeing the nod of acknowledgement, suddenly stood up. "Continue the story." "All right. Huangyan, the interrogation will end here for now. Someone will come to the room to pick you up. I will take you to meet your parents, and they will give you some time to have lunch. But since you are a key figure in the case, cannot leave the police station for a short period." As the voice faded away, Su Ming took his documents and laptop. After walking out of the interrogation room with Zhu Changsheng, He arrived alone at the dedicated crime-solving meeting room. Zhu Chengsheng took out his phone in the corridor. Immediately call the person in charge of the detention center. Without a doubt, this is to be given to the detention center. Immediately bring the beast dog to the Hue High Criminal Investigation team. Dig out this other one. Although these drug dealers use a single line of communication, but the beast dog definitely has a lot more to say hidden inside. At least, during the previous interrogation of the beast dog, never mentioned helping the higher-ups. The matter of handing over the drugs to Zhang Wan and Huang Yan. When Zhu Chengsheng communicated with the detention center, Su Ming then glanced at the incense burner again. I found that there were no new blue gold game emails today, and the time has already passed noon. This undoubtedly indicates that the killer lurking behind the scenes. It has been confirmed that Zhang Wan has passed away. Even they know that Huangyan has been taken under police control. So, the new blue gold game hasn't been sent yet. Choose to hide oneself. Put the notebook aside for now. Su Minjiang leaned back in the chair, his gaze intimidating, gently pinching the center of the brow with the right hand. Sorting through the many clues that Huang Yan had just mentioned in my mind. First point, currently it can be confirmed that the murderer is nearby, and understand the general situation of Zhang Wan and Huang Yan. The timeliness is also remarkably impressive. At least, there are no new blue gold games sent today. Second point, the killer is the boss of the beast dogs. Even the biggest drug dealer in the entire magical city can obtain from an unknown source, entering a high-purity batch of drugs. Otherwise, how could one bear not to dilute it at all? Just take such high-purity drugs. Add to make candy. This is used to control the blue-gold game. Third point, from the perspective of the killer's mindset controlling the crime method, although it isn't particularly outstanding. But clearly, they are not a novice encountering this for the first time. Add more. The email also replied to Zhu Yuo from the mental hospital. So could it be the murderer? It may be related to the personnel at the mental hospital. It is currently uncertain. The special reply in this email. Was it truly the killer's subconscious words of anger? It's still a deliberately guided wrong answer. Because the night of the email reply, Zhang Wan chose to pursue freedom, fell from the tall building, the hidden culprit behind the scenes. Do you want to clear your own suspicions? Start planning ahead. This situation cannot be ruled out at the moment, but most likely, it is likely a deliberate smokescreen, because the killer was cautious with every email. Definitely will check multiple times. Then why must we? There's no need to specifically mention the lie. The matter of being lame. Dozens of minutes later, Su Ming slowly opened his eyes. Couldn't help but let out a silent sigh. Current clues, very rare and chaotic, although a portion of the suspects can be identified. But the truth is still far from reach. Must do. Dig as deep as possible. The beast dog line is the only way to go. At this moment, Zhu Chengsheng, who had just arranged matters in the hallway, pushed open the door. He knocked again on the gray wooden door. Su Ming gestured. Left. Xiao Ming. The beast hound has already moved at full speed. Brought the team over. Currently in the interrogation room. Let's go for a review. Let's see if we can dig out any clues. Otherwise, this killer. It's not that easy to get it out. Su Ming is worried that the clues are still insufficient. Immediately stood up, bringing the necessary items. Quickly arrived at the interrogation room. Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. As the two entered the interrogation room, sitting in the interrogation chair, hands are handcuffed, feeling completely exhausted. The beast dog, with protruding knuckles, quickly pulled hard on the handcuffs, struggled and shouted, "Police officer! Two police officers! What is going on? Why did you pull me over again?" I explained it a few days ago. I have really explained everything. I've dug up several of your informants. Upon hearing these words, Su Ming slightly squinted his eyes, coldly stared at the beast dog, expressionless. "I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Have you explained everything? Then you better. Even those 60 pieces of drug-laced candy for the little girl. They have already briefed me on everything. 60 pieces of candy poison." This sentence, the beast dog's pupils slightly constricted, but immediately hid again. Feigning shock and confusion, he said, "Officer, really messed up. You have really got it wrong. Although I usually make a living selling some drugs, but they are all selling drugs, selling small amounts of white heroin. I have no idea what candy drugs are. Even if I know, what is that? I could never sell drugs to a little girl. We really can't dare. Moreover, who would directly consume drugs? Isn't that a waste? Use aluminum foil to pad while melting tin. Isn't it much more effective than oral intake? And you can save quite a bit of money." Beast dog explanation seemed particularly forced. He even talked quite a bit about unrelated topics, attempting to forcefully clear their name, extract from this matter. But such a clumsy explanation, even a newly hired detective can spot the problem. How can it be? How could Su Ming and Zhu Changsheng be kept in the dark? At this moment, Su Ming no longer wants to waste time, gazed coldly at the beast dog, turned the laptop screen towards the beast dog, pointing at the picture of the lie above, spoke in a rather stern tone. "I don't know, do you? Let me help you remember properly. It was almost 15 days ago. That is to say, during the time you haven't been captured yet. This person on the screen, a middle school girl with a slight limp, is it under someone's arrangement? From you, took 30 pieces of drugs disguised as candy. And at that time, there should be just one more underdog without money. Bought a little white one. Kneeling, please give her a bite. As a result, it was kicked directly against the wall by you. As for the other 30 candies are drugs. You were also around during the first half of the month, according to your requirements for going online. Handed it over to another middle school girl." At this point, Zhu Changsheng took over the conversation, fingers lightly tapping on the table. He said coldly, "Beast dog, how is it? Have you recalled enough clearly now?" Still talking. "Are you really going to keep pretending to be clueless?" The beast dog sitting in the interrogation chair. A slight sheen of sweat has appeared on the forehead. The complexion was inexplicably pale. Put in more effort. Put in effort. Shaking his head vigorously, he stammered, "No, no, it's not. Police officer, what you just said, I really can't understand. What a limp. What kind of middle school girl? What street command? Besides frequently having toxic dogs. Besides finding me to set up accounts and purchase goods. Other things. I really don't understand. By the way, I understand. Police officer, don't you think? Recently, the pressure on drug control has been quite high. The target metrics above have not yet been completed. I still have a list of a few toxic individuals, although they no longer come to buy goods from me. But I know them. Surely they haven't yet." Before the hunting dog could finish speaking, Zhu Changsheng slammed the table forcefully. He stood up directly. "It makes me feel very angry. Angry to the point of, beast dog, do you still think Are we joking with you? I'll be straightforward with you. It was you who first asked me for candy and drugs. That middle school girl. Now it is dead, lying inside the funeral home in Hue High City. What do you think? This is still you providing a few poisoned dogs. Is this something that can be resolved? And moreover, what I didn't expect was drug trafficking. Wait, the situation of having enough to eat peanuts. Earlier, when we brought you in for interrogation, these dog. How dare you not be honest about this? Although many people were exposed. But regarding the online investment matters. You really don't say a word, do you? That person is a threat. What do you mean? Without a doubt. Zhu Qingsheng is already noticed some issues, because during the previous interrogation of the beast dog, it wasn't like this back then. Difficulties and stubbornness, at the very least. Last time when I learned about my drug trafficking customers, already reached, when you can receive the weight of a peanut. The beast dogs have never cooperated like this before. Don't wait for the interrogators. By what means and threats? I have already told everything all at once. They even revealed quite a bit. Veteran dealer buying goods from him, just to be able to slightly reduce the sentence. At the very least, give me a chance to not eat peanuts. But this time, yet stubborn to an absurd degree, this is very likely to exist. Threatening situation. Hearing the question of whether one is being threatened, the beast dog clearly lowered its head and remained silent for 2 seconds. Then showed a smile of sudden realization, looking at Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. The two people's hands and esophagus were quite flattering. Two police officers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't be angry. I seem to remember. 15 days ago. It is indeed on the screen. This little girl looks like this. Find me to buy goods. At that time, I was still a bit curious. How can someone so young be addicted to drugs? But it's foolish not to earn money. Homemade drug candy. Sold it to her. Officer, those drug candies. It's what I sold to her. If you insist on dragging something up. Others and commands from the commander. I really don't know. Upon hearing this, Zhu Chengsheng has already sat back down in his chair, staring at the flattering beast dog across the way. HMPH. Beast dog, you really have opened my eyes. I didn't expect that. Someone like you who is so afraid of death. One day unexpectedly. They will also actively take on such cases. But do you think you can handle it? Do you really think we police just eat free food? I can't tell that you're afraid to reveal your true self. Want to hide. Are you hiding something? Speaking of which, Zhu Chengsheng seemed completely fed up, waved his hand, looking at Su Ming beside me. There's no need for any eye signals at all. Su Ming discerned Zhu Chengsheng's thoughts. Walking to the end. Turn off the camera. He spoke with a hint of intention. Chendi, don't waste your breath on people like this. Those forbidden methods. Just use it directly. Take a look. It's his stubbornness. It's still us in criminal investigation. The methods passed down are tough. Anyway, I have already turned off the camera. When the time comes, replace the surveillance footage again. There is no one at all. This matter can be discovered. Moreover, we are not forcing him to confess, but rather to obtain. This case is just about clues and information. Even when it arrives like this, he suddenly changed his mind in court. It's not really useful. After all, the things mentioned in the previous interrogation. This is sufficient for a conviction. Speaking of which, Su Ming took a look. The beast monkey's eyes were filled with terror, eyes glimmering, feigning madness. Shenji, I have an idea. How about I do it now? Go find the forensic examiner. He took a high-purity sample from him. Come over with the sample Zio by. At that time, directly open the hook, in front of the beast dog's nose. You've talked so much for so many days. An addict who has never used. Can you withstand the addiction? I remember what's written in the textbook. After a long period of heroin use, the addiction that erupted. More than any other drug, all must be more intense. It feels like ants are crawling all over my body. The body trembles from the cold, feeling it in the organs. Once again, it was unbearably hot. Dizzy and overwhelmed. Tears and snot running down. Stop again, looking into the eyes. The beast dog hides its terror. Su Mingwei squinted his eyes intentionally. That's right. Beast dog. It's been so many days since I last inhaled Zayabai. Is it an addiction? I've already quit. I've heard that old poisonous dogs like you. Since you dare to take the blame for someone else's murder case, then, later, I'll have to endure the heroin withdrawal. That should be no problem, right? The methods Su Ming mentioned. It is an interrogation method strictly prohibited by law. That is to say, using various forms of punishment, coercion or special means to coerce the criminal suspect, means of pleading guilty and accepting punishment, widely dubbed by netizens as great memory restoration technique, claimed to be, even without this memory. It can also help you restore this memory. Of course, although it was strictly forbidden, but at the grassroots level, there are still quite a few police stations can use this unconventional methods to solve the case as soon as possible. But it's basically all in. The evidence is conclusive. When the suspect remains defiant, just like now, it is clear to see. The beast dog definitely knows. Many clues have been revealed, yet I stubbornly held on to a single phrase, not saying anything. Add-on. The evidence obtained earlier. It is already sufficient for the court to impose a sentence. At this moment, a powerful recovery spell was cast to obtain important key clues. It's quite a few police departments. The method to be adopted. After all, there really isn't any time. Wasting time with these people. However, Su Ming and Zhu Chengshan, I have no such intention. Think it only requires verbal cooperation. This can break the psychological defense of the beast dogs. Because, for a dog trained to attack, any physical pain, none compare to a complete drug addiction relapse. At this moment, Su Ming deliberately mentioned heroin and addiction. Ling Zuo interrogates the stubborn beast dog. Suddenly remembered a few days ago. The situation when the drug addiction flares up in the detention center. That is true suffering worse than death. My skin felt numb as if it had been pricked by needles. Tears and mucus kept flowing down uncontrollably. Aching limbs. I can't muster any strength at all. The spirit and consciousness seemed to separate from the body. My head feels like it's spinning every moment. There are hundreds of little people jumping around inside. Even now, just a slight recollection. The beast dogs trembled all over. A lingering sense of fear remains unspoken. They turned to Su Ming with a face full of terror. Then, before he could say anything, in sight, Su Ming nodded at Zhu Chengsheng. He stood up without any hesitation. It seems we need to head to the technology. Kona high-purity heroin. This moment, for several days, struggling against drug addiction, the fear that it brings. In an instant it became. The beast dog swallowed the whole person. Ki Long. It feels like something is blocked. Can't say it at all. Just as Su Ming took a few more steps. As I passed by the beast dog interrogation chair, pen pen pen, The sound of metal striking the head. Keep ringing. The beast dog pushes hard with its head, banging against the interrogation chair. It seems necessary to confront the fears within. Temporarily let it go, and cried out in despair, "Police officer, officer, I really can't help it. I really can't say anything. Those people, those people will kill me. Not right, not right. They will kill my family. They will take my family. All killed. I beg you all. Don't ask any more. Don't ask any more. Everything was done by me. I don't know either. Who is the online person?" This statement, Ling Suming immediately stopped in his tracks, but they completely ignored the beast dog. Constant impact. The actions and pleas of the interrogation chair. Because in the interrogation room, basically 80% of the suspects will exert force on the table of the interrogation chair, bumped my head to express regret or seek sympathy. The beast dog is not an exception. Sure, as long as you go to anyone. Interrogation room of the criminal investigation team, the tabletop of the interrogation chair. It can't possibly be flat. There will inevitably be many suspects. The dent left from the collision. Of course, interrogation chairs are specially designed police equipment. Don't wait for the beast dogs. Crash oneself to death. Maybe the neck. I sprained it and can't move. So at this moment, the beast dog's plea seems utterly worthless. At the same time, Su Main has keenly detected the problem. With a slight frown, she coldly questioned, "Ima, why is he here? Aren't you only supposed to have one superior? Although it seems fierce, it crashes its head. But in fact, the beast dog's inner defenses has been breached. The pain brought by heroin addiction, surpassing the fear of the launch. After the impact technique, the head weakly rested against the interrogation table. It seemed to rasp out in complete despair, 'They are not my superiors. Or rather, they are my online friends. Everyone in the organization, controlling the entire Dragon Kingdom. At least 50% of the drug sales network. Basically, it's just them. Dare to sell high-purity drugs in large quantities.'" As soon as these words were spoken, in an instant Zhu Changcheng sat up straight. The expression was more solemn than ever before. "But there is no choice for now. What are you asking?" "This is, we've dug up something incredible. The drug sales network of Longguo accounts for 50%. Su Ming was also somewhat inexplicably serious. Doubt has increased even more. Is beast dog spreading false news again? Wanting to cover up their own limits with this. Carefully observe the demeanor and actions of the beast dog. After confirming that there is no possibility of lying, Su Ming returned to his seat. Fingers tapped on the table, said with utmost seriousness, "Beast dog, lift your head up. I need you to be straightforward. Speak out what you know. Where did you hear that from? Information about this organization is known. The common methods used by you drug dealers to make contact. The subordinate should not know about the superior. It should be based on the detailed situation, let alone knowing. This is an important organization. Do not have any concealment. This way we can carry out our work better. This is not just for us. It is also to protect. Does your family understand?" At this moment, at Su Ming's request, the beast dog slowly lifted its head. His head weakly rested against the wall. Tilting his head, his eyes filled. Spoke in despair. "Yeah, I am at most in the Magic City. A little poison dog selling loose goods. How to configure it? Such a large drug trafficking organization. These things, it's all what Tai Sanji and I talked about. He said he wants to expand the drug business. You must join this organization. Even if I can't become a member of the organization, you have to work alongside them." At this point, seemingly afraid that Su Ming wouldn't know, Tai San is this person. Zhu Chengchen specifically explained, "Iron Man Triathlon. In recent years, we are next door, the largest drug dealer apprehended in Gusu City. Items were searched from his residence, 20 kilograms of heroin and several kilograms of other drugs. Such a large weight amount. Just walk straight. It's the fast track. A few months later, just got a peanut." It seemed at that time Tai-san did not choose to appeal. Otherwise, we could drag it out for a few more days. Immediately after that, the beast dog revealed a trace of a sad smile. With vacant eyes, he continued, "Tai-san ji, death is well deserved. 20-kilogram little bai, hidden at home. Who dares to do such a thing? But brother Tai-san, the third day after being executed, when the person was just buried, his whole family, they all died in a car accident on the highway. They are all dead. Even his 5-year-old daughter. None survived. Speaking of which, the beast dog suddenly became agitated, pulling hard during the interrogation. Cried out, 'I'm scared. Officer, I am really scared. I have it too.' She also has a 3-year-old daughter. The howls of the beast dog nearing collapse. Ling Su-ming and Zhu Chengsheng both. They furrowed their brows in unison. Case in Suzhou City. Mo do criminal investigation police. Most people won't pay too much attention, due to the cases in this city. So busy that I can't keep up. Moreover, retrieving case files across cities. Need to do a rather complicated application. But on the surface of Gusu City, the biggest drug dealer, Tai-san, it's only been a short while since I received the peanuts. As a result, the family and children died in an unexpected car accident. Moreover, Iron 3 appeals for a chance. No desire to live even a few more days. It seems like an act of confession. Extremely straightforward, as if in a hurry, to prove something to certain people. Even if I get caught. Didn't say anything either. There were no clues provided about the online lead. Look over there. It seems there are hidden details in the case. It's not that simple. It is estimated that the Suzhou police and dug into the clues for a long time, but I could never find the key clues. In the end, it can only be concluded as an accident. Of course, it's also possible it was quite a pure accident. It wasn't the conspiracy and murder that was imagined. But no matter the situation, the information and clues provided by the beast dog, all of this is enough to shock and baffle people, because the Dragon Kingdom secretly hides fully in control, a massive criminal organization involved in 50% of the drug trade, watching the beast dog on the verge of collapse. Su Ming lightly tapped his fingers on the table, furrowed his brow seriously. Beast dog, to be honest, even if you show such a painful and desperate expression, I don't have a shred of sympathy in my heart. After all, no one ever forced you to get addicted to drugs. Let you need to commit a crime for an easy life. Being locked up in a detention center can only leave my daughter's side. Even now, there are still worries. My daughter has been targeted by that ruthless organization. One could encounter some kind of man-made accident at any time. This result is, didn't you choose it yourself? This statement. The beast dog stopped struggling, desperately gazing at Su Ming. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something. In the end, they could only silently lower their heads. I can't even speak. This seemingly utterly despairing attitude Su Ming was not surprised at all. He continued expressionlessly, "But beast dog, you are actually lucky, because our police obtained information through another case. Just pried this clue out of your mouth, to take appropriate preventive measures as soon as possible, regardless of the short term. Send police officers to protect your daughter and guard the rabbit, or directly follow the clues to catch the murderer, to eliminate future troubles. Better than you saying nothing at all. It's much safer and more secure to keep it from us. Or rather," at this point, Su Ming paused for 2 seconds. Squinting her eyes, she revealed a hint of coldness. Shook his head. "Do you think it's better to keep this to yourself? Not a single word is spoken. I can save your daughter. Beast dog, I just want to ask you, what do you think about when Tai-san was caught? Is there something to say? Does he dare to speak about this? Why doesn't he even appeal? Just gave up directly. I think he should be like you. Think it's better not to say anything, just to protect their family and children." But what was the result? This moment, the beast dog suddenly opened its eyes. It seemed as if they suddenly understood something. "Memories come flooding back to my mind. Memories of time spent with the iron triangle. He knows. The bones of my old brother. It's so much harder than him. Caught so many times." Suddenly there was a connection. It was never explained, since Tyson didn't say anything. Then his family. So, even if nothing is said, actually it can't be saved either. My own family and children. Looking at the situation, the beast dog in horror and fear, Zhu Chengsheng shook his head. "It is already." I tapped the table impatiently, made a sound to indicate. "All right, beast dog, stop dragging your feet. Hurry up and deal with matters related to this organization. Explain it clearly from beginning to end. We can also make a decision how to protect your daughter, if you must believe the so-called promises of that organization. I think that the Iron Triangle is a glaring example. But, can you give me a cigarette?" The beast dog lifted its head as if finally made up my mind. Looking at Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng, he said, "Two officers. Can you give me one?" Before the hunting dog could finish speaking, Zhu Chengsheng directly opened the drawer under the table, take out a pack of cigarettes from inside, and a box of matches. Throw it to the beast dog. It's impatient. "Beast dog, you really have a lot of concerns, don't you? Stop dawdling. Continuing to waste time like this. Many suspects. When preparing to confess in the interrogation room, there will always be requests to smoke a cigarette. In the past, at this time, the police wouldn't choose to refuse. So in the drawer of the interrogation room, nature also prepared these things." The beast dog, with its paws restrained, reluctantly pulled out a cigarette and matches. "Half stand up. Before diving in, light the cigarette you were holding." Took a deep breath. "I remember very clearly. That was 3 years ago. My wife fell down accidentally, when causing premature birth. At that time, I have been poisoned for several years. I spent all my money to buy the little white one. There is simply no money to pay for medical expenses. Every day after the hospital bill comes out, the doctor keeps urging me to pay my outstanding bills. But where do I have the money? But I can't either. I watched helplessly as that child died. So I began calling to borrow money. HMPH. Poisonous dogs and poisonous dogs. These two creatures make the call. Others don't have time to hang up, let alone asking to borrow money. I don't know how many people I've looked for when I was about to give up. Tai Sanji agreed. Without saying a word, he transferred 100,000 yuan to me. Let me save the child first. To tell the truth, at that time I really couldn't believe it. Tai Sanji's family situation is also not good. Without saying a word, he gave me so much money. The child is finally okay. It is now all ready. I still can't do it. I still can't do it. Full of life. Raised it until it was 3 years old. Once the child's condition stabilizes, I will go find Tai Sanji right away. On one hand, I am grateful to him. On the other hand, ask him, where did all this money come from? Because in my impression, at Brother Tai's house, it's not like I have a lot of money. How did it suddenly happen? Suddenly took out 100,000 yuan. Arriving at Gusu City, not far from the Magic City, Tai Sanji took me to find a restaurant. It's a way to calm the landlord's intentions. At that time I asked Tai Sanji. He got the money from the Stone Demon Road. Can you take me along? I remember. At that time Tai Sanji shook his head. This path won't take me anywhere. You can't harm me either. Upon hearing this, I began to shout. Ask him how making money harmed me. Tai Sanji still isn't speaking. I became even angrier. He stood up as if he were drunk, shouting in the private room. It seems like everyone in the restaurant is going to find out. At that time I shouted, isn't it just drug trafficking? What harmed me? Who isn't affected? It's the same coming from this road. As soon as the result was announced, Tai Sanji gave me a heavy slap, took a big gulp of white liquor. Let me tomorrow. Just forget everything, he said afterwards. He said, speaking of this, the beast dog took a deep puff of smoke. Thick smoke. All covered their faces. A terrifying organization approached him. He asked him to sit down and help sell drugs. Not just a little white. Basically, they sell all kinds of drugs. Moreover, the purity is very high. There will be an online event in Seju City at that time. Contact Tai Sanji. Then press the line. Just do what is required. At that time, Tai Sanji was also dealing drugs. Moreover, they are quite well known in Seju. So he definitely wouldn't accept being someone else's underling. Immediately say it. He can be the upstream source of all drugs in Gusu. Let him join this organization. But that person rejected me. It is said that within this organization, no need for useless people and drug addicts. Making money off drug addicts. It is said that drug addicts are worthless. Iron Sanji has a hot-tempered nature. Rejected without hesitation. They even blocked the phone number. The result came the day after the rejection. At midnight, Iron Sanji just hoped to go home. Someone tapped me on the shoulder and I got dazed. When he woke up, the person has been tied up in an abandoned factory. A person wearing a mask, obscuring their face, still holding the dark muzzle of the gun, still facing his forehead. The most terrifying is, first Sanji looked around and was horrified to discover his wife, his child, and his mother. They were all tied up next to each other. Upon hearing this, it became increasingly serious. Assessment of the dangers posed by this organization. It has risen a few more points. Because, for a drug trafficking organization, all core organization members can be asked. None of them became addicted to drugs. This is simply an unbelievable thing, but can further confirm the strictness of this drug trafficking organization. Caution, and for core members, having absolute control. Adding on, it took less than a day to capture the whole family, and also equipped with strictly prohibited firearms. The level of terror of this organization, it has already risen straight up, the tail of the beast dog. But it's not over yet. took another deep drag of the cigarette, in the midst of profound memories, not even letting the smoke touch my lungs. Continue pouring. I saw my family was also tied up. Tai Sanji went crazy at that moment, continuously scolding in anger, shouting what's going on, come to him. What skill is it to bring his family along? Tai Sanji originally thought, this way I can remember that person. Let go of your family and children. But the result was completely unexpected. That person did not answer Tai Sanji, just simply crouched down. From the pocket of the sleeve, he took out a small syringe, directly inserted into Iron Three's mother's arm. Gently and softly like this. Inject the liquid inside. 3 minutes. There's less than 3 minutes left. Tai Sanji saw with his own eyes. His mother stopped breathing. Crazy. Tai Sanji has completely lost his mind, continuously scolding in anger. But that person only left behind one sentence. Let Tai Sanji have no choice. Can only work under him. I remember it very clearly. At that time, Tai Sanji, it was told to me with tears streaming down. That sentence is 10 kilograms of heroin. Tomorrow will be buried in the coffin. Let's send it to his house together. If you still won't help sell, there is not just one coffin, but it's 3 coffins. HMPH. That's really impressive. He actually killed Tai Sanji's mother. He also wanted him to help sell drugs. What is this supposed to be? Confidence is the foundation. If Tai Sanji hadn't been unable to bear it anymore, how could you even talk to me about this? After all, we both know very well, working under this organization, you must forget about this. Captured. We can't reveal a single piece of information. Otherwise, you will see. Family dies in front of me while I'm in prison. Speaking of this, beast dogs through the smoke. Look at Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. The voice was a bit hoarse. 2 officers. Do you know what the scariest thing is? It wasn't being taken to jail by the police, but they were targeted by this group of people. Once targeted by this group of people, even before death, perhaps we all must endure suffering. After listening to the beast dog's story, Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng, everyone fell silent. A few seconds later, Zhu Chengsheng frowned tightly, asked with a certain seriousness, "Beast dog, you say this is an organization? But from your description just now, I can't be sure of anything. This is an organization with many people, and also a crime organization this large. I can't believe it was hidden for so long. It is really too strange." The beastly dog crushed the cigarette in its paw. Shaking his head, he explained, "Officer, I can guarantee this is definitely a multi-person organization. Because I had completely forgotten about Tai Sanji until 2 months ago. A sudden phone call. Only then did I understand. I have also been targeted. On the phone, that person made me a level 2 drug dealer for magic poison. Act according to the orders above. With the experience of Tai Sanji ahead, I simply don't dare to refuse. So I agreed. The 3rd day, there is a device specifically designed for voice modulation. The modified voice turned on. Let me go get the hidden one. 200 grams of high-purity heroin. First command, I called as a lackey. No voice changer was used. Second one, give me the phone for instructions. But used a voice changer. I think this definitely isn't just one person. Otherwise, why would you use a voice changer? And at first, as Tai Sanji told me, that person, at first glance, just let him handle the 10 kilograms. Why did you come to me? But only 200 grams. I think Definitely not the same person. Work style, completely different. Although you officers can't compare. I can't solve the case. Looking for clues. But I am in society. After so much struggle and hardship, I have long understood how to read people's expressions. No matter how a person changes, it's not possible to be brave all at once. Why has it become so small? As soon as these words were spoken, sitting next to me, squinting slightly, Su Ming lightly sprinkled with both hands stacked. Suddenly thought of it. A certain possibility. Yuan Shangdao. The scale of this organization. It must be beyond imagination. At the same time, I feel that this online platform in the Magic City, it may not be a shrinking courage. High probability. Just joined this massive drug trafficking organization. Not allocated much of a share. Still in the probation period. The mastermind behind this organization. Still not sure about this launch. Do they have the same courage as the members of the Gusu organization? Otherwise, such a big city, Magic City. The number of poisoned dogs is several times that of Gusu. Even for the first time, it's impossible to just throw out 200 grams of high-purity heroin for trade, because it's still during the probation period. So, nature also carries a fear and apprehension far beyond that of a seasoned expert. Only then would one choose to use a voice changer to disguise their voice. In other words, that organization, I was just getting ready to take control of the drug market in the Magic City. This inference. Actually, it's very easy to get out from both places. First one. Beast dogs are known as the famous addicts of our Magic City. 2 months ago, I was targeted and became a lackey. This possibility has already been roughly confirmed. As for the second one, at this point, Su Ming looked at Zhu Changsheng beside him, asked quite seriously, Shenji, in the past decade, in all the districts of our Magic City, have you found anything? Heroin with purity far exceeding normal levels. The organization's narcotics trade. The purity is at least 95% or higher. In 10 years' time, no matter how well it's hidden, the possibility that the inevitable offline will also be searched out. Not. Absolutely not. Zhu Chengsheng simply shook his head. Without hesitation, he responded to Su Ming's inference. In the past decade, drugs with a purity of 95%. Absolutely never found anything on those poisonous dogs. Such a high purity of drugs. Basically, it is. It can only be seen at customs and airports. Get this answer. Su Ming nodded thoughtfully. Then he seriously suggested, Chenji, I suggest now, temporarily set the organization aside, starting with this full case. Find the murderer. Continue to follow the clues. Dig out all the rotten roots. Is the best choice. Because compared to others, this newcomer is likely the best breakthrough. Zhu Chengsheng nodded in agreement. Immediately look at the beast dog sitting blankly at the interrogation table, tapping the table. He came to his senses and asked, Beast dog, now, you need to remember well, in your communication with your superior, is there something going on? It makes you feel particularly strange, and a place that is deeply memorable. The beast dog comes to its senses. Now, I can't afford to be lazy or hesitate. Jiang Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng became the only hope to save his daughter. Bitten down hard, recalling forcefully. After a full 10 seconds, the beast dog seemed to suddenly remember something. Suddenly opened his eyes and said, Eye protection exercise? Yes, it's all about eye care. I have, in the call he made. I actually heard the sound of the eye protection exercise. Eye protection exercises. The special clue that the beast dog suddenly recalled. Ling Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. The two exchanged a knowing glance, eyes sparkling with golden light. This clue is really crucial. Perhaps we can narrow down the range of suspects. Reduce several times. Because of the broadcast sound of the eye protection exercise. It's not just anywhere. A special announcement that everyone can hear. Only in elementary school, middle school, and high school, eye protection exercises are announced only during breaks. Even university won't have eye care exercises anymore. After all, college students are mostly adults now. Skipping class and browsing the internet are common occurrences. I won't obediently sit in the classroom doing eye exercises. The background noise of the call reveals the sound of eye exercises. This undoubtedly narrows down the suspects to within the school. The first to bear the brunt is undoubtedly Shude Secondary School. However, as an experienced detective, Zhu Chengsheng did not immediately fully lock onto this clue. She lightly tapped her fingers on the table and continued to ask. Beast dog. Below, think back carefully. The sound of the eye protection exercise can be heard as soon as the call connects. Still, a sudden sound echoed in the middle of the journey. Then, the sound of eye exercises in the background. Is it clear in your memory? It was still similar to the noise of a broadcast. It can be seen that Zhu Chengsheng is doing everything possible to eliminate the sound of eye exercises in the background. Was the killer intentionally letting the beast hear? Or say, it was truly an accident that I recorded the eye protection exercises. As for whether the voice is clear or not, nature exists for the sake of judgment. Is the mastermind behind this trying to provide false clues? Confuse the police. Even if not at school, also download the sound of the eye exercise. Play during the call. These two questions. The beast dog furrowed its brows and seriously recalled for 2 seconds. Answered quite affirmatively. 2 officers. The voice of Yan Beijian came through the phone. It wasn't there from the beginning, but suddenly rang out midway. At that time, I was still wondering why. There will be the sound of eye protection exercises. But I definitely wouldn't dare to ask too much. As a lackey under that group of people. Don't create trouble when there's none. Asking all sorts of questions. It is definitely the primary condition for survival. As for whether it was a recorded audio, that can't be true. Although I was expelled after the 2nd year of high school. But the school's crappy broadcast. Loud telegraph sounds. I will never forget this in my life. It can be seen that the mood of the beast dog clearly improved a bit. It did not appear. The situation was close to collapse before. Hearing this response, Zhu Chengsheng nodded thoughtfully. They definitely wouldn't dare to hide anything. And the lying beast dog, looking at Su Ming beside me, he nodded upward. Xiao Ming, what do you think? The clue of this eye protection exercise. Currently pointed out to us. A very important direction. The murderer of this case. It is indeed very likely. It's just an acquaintance from school. After several previous cases, Zhu Chengsheng had long been impressed by Su Ming's reasoning ability, with a clear understanding. That's why I'm asking at this moment. I hope to quickly integrate the most likely scenario. Lock in the mastermind behind this case. Su Ming did not respond immediately. With a hint of helplessness, she frowned slightly. Chendi, only relying on one eye to see the operation. There really is no way. Drawing the suspect's portrait too definitively. Because there is a very strange place. The superior mentioned by the beast dog. That is the criminal suspect. Deliberately using a voice changer to hide. And from the perspective of crime methods involving mind control, personality is definitely very cautious. For people like this, remember the fixed time for the eye protection exercise played daily on campus. It doesn't seem to be a difficult task. Then why not avoid that time period? Reduce the possibility of self-exposure. But the beast dog happened to hear the sound of this eye protection exercise. Deliberately done. But then again, I just suddenly forgot. Based on the current clues, an understanding of the criminal suspect, I don't think it can be accurately judged yet. But I can roughly determine that if the murderer is indeed someone from Shude Middle School, so there's a high probability of having a separate independent office. Otherwise, I don't think so. He dares to do it in the office or on the playground. This is how to make a phone call. Contact the beast dogs. Of course, the premise is that the killer is indeed a person from Shude Middle School. Otherwise, all inferences have to start over. There are still too few clues. At this point, Su Ming looked at the astonished face, seemingly shocked by the two. How to do eye exercises? Such a detail-oriented beast dog. Quite serious about beast dog. Continue to remember, when contacting that person, are there any other special places? For example, trading location, transaction details, transaction process, and other aspects. Does it leave you feeling confused? I completely do not understand its purpose. Without a doubt. From Su Ming's own experience, regardless of vigilance, still washing away suspicion. A killer who is as vigilant as a puppet master. It is very likely to happen during the transaction. Expose more details. The beast dog appeared. The suspect is still not confirmed. To ensure the safety of his daughter, both hands began to tug at the hair forcefully, carefully recalling the details and process of each transaction. A full minute has passed. Upon seeing the beast dog, there was no conversation, still pulling at her hair incessantly. This made Zhu Chengsheng frown. Suddenly a voice spoke out. Are there no other questions? If you really can't think of anything, then let's talk about it. How many times have you traded in total, respectively at— Not finished speaking yet. The beast dog suddenly lifted its head, looking at Su Ming and Zhu Chengsheng. He spoke hastily. There is still more. I remember. He seems very familiar with the Magic City. We have traded a total of 3 times, but every time he chooses the trading location. I really haven't even heard of it. You need to know. I have lived in the Magic City for over 10 years. I can be considered half a local. Keeling is not familiar with any trading locations, even the location of the first transaction. I still look for the elderly living nearby. I only found out after asking. Otherwise, it would really be. I can't even find the place. This statement, this piqued Su Ming's interest again, raised an eyebrow. Looking at the beast dog, he asked deeply, since finding a trading location is so difficult, I think the locations of these 3 transactions. What are the differences? Beast dog. You should remember very clearly, right? The beast dog immediately nodded, without hesitation. The first transaction was 2 months ago. The location is under the stone bricks at the back door of Fulin Xiang Mibao, hiding 200 grams of high-purity Zio Bai. The second transaction was a month ago. The location is inside the long iron gate of St. Tianfeng. At that time, I exerted a lot of effort to climb in. Got it. 300 grams of high-purity Zio Bai. As for the third time, is at the dot house at the end of the core alley. There is a bag of candy inside. Just now, what you 2 officers mentioned. The only regret is that every transaction He was the one who hid the things first, then called me over to pick it up. Specific appearance. I never had the chance to see it. Of course, at that time, even if you give me a chance, give me 10 more guts. I definitely wouldn't dare to take a glance. After all, the example of Taisenji. It shines brightly right ahead. As soon as the words were spoken, Zhu Chengsheng gently tapped the table. He spoke with a serious expression, squinting his eyes. Old Shanghai people, the drug dealer who can choose to trade in these 3 places, definitely grew up in the Magic City, locally born and raised native. Locals of the Magic City. This is from the beast dog's words. Another clue obtained. At this moment, Zhu Chengsheng didn't deliberately keep them in suspense. Looking at Suming beside me, explained what the beast dog just said. These 3 locations, under the jurisdiction of Shengshan village. 30 years ago, it was around the 1990s. It is a rather prosperous area in the Huihai district. The biggest reason. It is the massive Shangtan textile factory. There were nearly 10,000 people at that time, working inside. These workers have families to support. Make the remote Shengshan village become, at that time, one of the hottest places in Huihai. Fuel and convenience store. It is the closest convenience store to the textile factory. As for the new alley, nature is the place where the vast majority of workers live. But good times don't last long. Mid-1990s. The slogan to break the iron rice bowl has emerged. An unprecedented wave of layoffs swept across the entire country that year, due to the poor performance of the textile factory. Aging industrial structure forcefully shut down. The brand labels were directly burned off, caused all the workers scattered in search of other jobs. In less than a year, the hustle and bustle of Shengshan village, it dissipated like a bubble, to take the place of. It is a variety of desolation and remoteness. Because of Holy Sky Village, it is located on the edge of the suburbs. It was the textile factory that brought the bustle in the beginning. More and more people moved away later. The entire village is now, I guess there aren't many people left. But the demolition can't take it away. That textile factory is really huge. The relocation involves houses in a remote area. You can't make any money either. Real estate developers won't engage in losing ventures. So it was just left there all along, except for the old demon poisoning people. Even if others go to Shengtian village, definitely doesn't know. What is the name of this abandoned factory area? Not to mention there is also fueling convenience store, with the 2 places of Core Alley. But that place is indeed a good spot for drug trading. After all, they have been almost completely abandoned. There aren't actually many surveillance cameras in existence. Speaking of which, Zhu Chengsheng seemed afraid that Suming would misunderstand. He quickly added another sentence. Xiao Meng, don't misunderstand. I'm not that old. This is a case that was previously filed. Happened in Shengtian village, when my neighbor took me to handle the case. A casually told story. After all, when the Holy Sky textile factory was abandoned, the neighbors have all started elementary school. The beast dog sitting in the interrogation chair, hearing Zhu Chengsheng's words. Suddenly, they hurriedly picked up the conversation. Correct. When I first went to this place, it just feels desolate beyond belief. There aren't many young people there. Most of them are elderly people with half their bodies buried in the ground. Change to people like us who are half locals. I really don't know this place. By the way, 2 police officers. I also thought of something strange. Speaking of which, The beast dog paused slightly,